Hello, hello. How is everyone?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Good. I haven't seen you in forever. How are you?
You look good, Mary.
Uh,
Yes, you do. We don't always see you, and I know nobody sees me. I'm usually my camera on.
trying to
I like your
fake
hair.
it.
It looks good.
It's just down and messy today.
It looks lighter or something. Hi,
I'm
lady.
in front of the window now, so
Wendy.
that might be it.
Oh, I like the way I like your background and the way
Which
your
one?
shirt
Mary's
blends in with everything.
been a crazy January, ladies. Everyone's super busy.
It's it's been a busy month already. The 20th today.
It has been. I can't believe it's already the 20th.
I
It's supposed
know.
to slow down on Fridays, but it doesn't seem like that's happening. It's insane.
And I feel like it's been snowing here in Denver since the start of the year. So it's just like there's more snow coming. And I'm like, gotta
Oh,
hurry it
I
all.
can't complain. We're finally getting a lot of sun in California. It was pounding with thunderstorms and we just can't handle
Oh, yeah, that's
water.
right.
We're like 6, 7 inches over what we would normally have this year, but
How is it where you are though? Are you okay?
me,
Yeah.
we're okay. There's certain areas where trees are coming down and stuff, but we're gonna have 10 days of sunshine, so I can't complain. Come to HB and
nice.
I'll show you around. Hi, Leslie. It's been a while. How are you?
Tired.
No. Friday and I was working from bed. So I'm like, it's 7 and my Slack is already blowing up from Boston area. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's just rude on a Friday.
I didn't sleep. I was still working at 10:30. I'm like, I gotta stop. I need the gap before I go to bed and wake up and get on my computer again. So take the break.
That's hard work. Man, I get off, I go out and see all my kids and mom. That's it. Which is not always easy. Waiting. Okay, sorry. I am messing things up today. So, I've spent the last couple of hours trying to figure out a calendar for calls that have been requested. And so I'm trying to just do it on like a schedule of Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays, I'll do a call so that if anybody wants to get on, it's scheduled and up. And if you want to host a call or anything, a topic or something like that, let me know. And tell me what you think. Am I crazy for having 3 calls a week? Or, I mean, not everybody will be on all of them, obviously.
I think I mean, if you have the time,
Right.
then we all appreciate it, I'm sure.
Well, I'm thinking it'll cut down on the coffee break requests. So instead of one-on-one, maybe it'll be a little bit easier. So we'll see. But the links are
Just
there
funnel
for
people to the appropriate session and just say, well, you know what, we do
yes. Yeah, maybe I'll put
careers
some
on
of that
this day or
description in there. New ones that I have on here are career and jobs. Communities this coming week on Thursday, but career and jobs doing an advocacy reviews and reference calls 1 Tuesday a month, and team collaborations, cabs awards and user groups, because that comes up all the time. And Joel Kettle from Case Study Buddies, Klecki from Case Study Buddies wanted to do a monthly case studies customer stories call. So that's what we have. I know Leslie wants to do something. No, I'm kidding. She's got all her
Oh,
projects.
I mean, I can talk about, you guys, I can't do it. Just like, it's just too much. My newest resource came out. I'll give you guys the landing page.
Did you get downloads from that? Like, do they let
I-
you know how many people?
I have no idea. Yeah, it's hosted on Influitive, so I'm not sure. And I'm like, I'm leaving them alone because it's like, I'm sure they're busy with
Yes.
everything that
Yeah.
they have to do for follow-up for that stuff. But yeah, this is the first time I put the landing page out there in the world. So there's the landing page to get the direct download to the resource.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty. So I partnered with Influitive on this. They actually bought it from me, so pretty cool. And they're offering it free on their website. But I mean, I just think it's the shit. And I hope you guys do too. But it is gonna help you guys with your performance reviews and like sitting down with your manager and mapping out your career path in this world. And the reason I created it was because I'm on my 9th manager at Sendoso, and I went 3 years without getting a promotion. And I stayed
Wow.
just because
I
I
know
love
what that's like, Leslie. I feel ya.
it.
And
Yeah.
on the topic,
been there.
can we talk about, like, you know how everyone obviously has a different personality, different style of managing, like difficult employees and tips on how to handle things. I mean, you take the certain trainings that are kind of candid training and videos and the obvious questions and so forth, right? When you go through the training, you have to answer questions, right? But like, how do you, tips? I'd love to hear tips on how to deal with difficult employees, different ways of talking to them, what resonates, or sometimes they just can't be mentored, or if they're argumentative and stuff, because we get all types, right? So it's hard to try to work with someone, I think, if they're just argumentative, like you can't even get a word out and they're just jumping down you. And I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna work.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've been in the same situation, and in the arm wrestling I lost because just could not establish a relationship with this person, and I don't know.
Right.
She
And working
wanted
with
my job,
difficult
and-
people. I mean, we work with difficult people, like that are like subordinates below us, people in other departments, like, how to navigate different situations. I'm sure we've dealt with difficult customers, different partners within the organization where we
Yeah.
have to buy in. And sometimes, you try to do your best, it just can't be fixed. Or sometimes someone just doesn't like you for whatever reason. It's not anything about your work or about how you are. It's just they don't like you and they're sticking to that. But just to
Yeah,
have to
right.
kind of
They
work
won't
with
work with you. They won't listen to you and see what you have to say. I mean, I think a lot of courses it point you to something that if you just do this and this and this and let them have your say it and go, I hear you, then it'll work out. But no, we can do the easy stuff. We don't need a course for that.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Leslie, did you finish what you were saying before we moved into that? Um, Talking about managing people, and then we
Well,
can talk more about that.
yeah. Okay. So my point was that I'm on my 9th manager there, and I didn't get promoted for 3 years I got like compensated, and they promoted me but they gave me the same title, but like, it was just a bunch of bullshit. And so I was like all pissed off about it. And then I thought to myself, it's not that weird that I didn't get the title changes, because I kept switching managers so frequently that no one knew what I had been working on with the previous manager. So, and nothing was documented, or it was, but it was in Lattice and it wasn't clear. And they didn't give a shit that what I was working on before, and they just because they don't know our world anyway. And so like, right when you work with someone and they finally get what we do and the value of our job, then they leave. And then you have to like go train someone else. So it was really like, important for me to create like a single source of truth and like, something for us to like believe in. And like, this is, what we've been working on. You give it to your boss and your boss's boss. And then like, if anybody leaves, you just kind of like have something. And it's all like, yes, I put my own thoughts. I interviewed people. I gathered other career ladders, and I went to every single job posting for like a bunch of years and job descriptions to create this, but everything is like editable, right? So if something doesn't align with you and your company, then you go to the editable templates and you just work with your manager on where you're at today and what you need to do to get to that next level. So I think like nothing is set in stone, but I just give you guys the framework to work with your manager on that. And I ended up getting the director position from this document. So I was like, well, I got to share it with everyone.
Hey, Leslie, I'm curious. What were the titles that we reported to?
Sorry, say that again.
What were the titles of your managers?
From my pet. Oh shit, this is funny. Okay, so starting with the first one, the customer success VP. Then I went to like a life cycle marketing manager, then a CMO, then product marketing. That was a fun one. I went back to CSM or back to CS and reported to the VP of customer success, who was the one that didn't promote me. And she said, oh, I was in my late 40s by the time I got the director level. And I was like, you are setting women back so bad right now. Please stop talking. And then after that, I've been at the company for 4 years and no one has ever told me how to do anything in customer marketing. I've had to think of all of this stuff myself. So I said, just please save it. I don't want a boss. And so now me and the co-founder work closely together. And then we just got a brand new CMO and she's awesome. So I wouldn't mind reporting up to her now. But I'm just living la vida loca with no boss right now and loving it.
Living without a boss
similar-
is great.
Yeah. it's
Love
fun.
it.
Yeah.
I have a similar situation. I've been at my company for 2.5 years and I've had 4 different bosses. And when I was brought on board, I was told that I was going to be promoted and be able to build the team. And it never happened. I was in product marketing. I was in customer success, a different product marketing group. And now they realigned everybody. And now I'm under corporate communications. Who doesn't understand customer marketing or customer advocacy at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
Few
so
people seem to get-
common. It's crazy. It's like we are at a point where nobody gets us. So we have, and if you read my newsletters, I'm constantly talking about like how we have to educate and advocate for our advocacy program and just be loud. And that's probably why I'm, super loud.
Well, you know what else is interesting, about the top CMA awards? Last year I was one of the 100 and this year I'm nominated again. Do you know, we have all these other awards that the company promotes on the website, like the CMO got an award, some tech people, some engineering people. They never put this one, the CMA one on the website. That's company to work for and all that. So I think they just don't relate to this role or they don't appreciate it.
Wait, what are you, what? Like where should they put this?
Well, they do have awards, a whole section of all the awards that the company gets, some are.
Oh,
because-
your particular company.
Yeah, but they also have some for people like a salesperson,
Yeah.
an award. So they highlighted that person or the VP
Got it.
marketing, they highlighted that, but
Well, that's a bunch of bullshit, and you
Yeah.
should, I mean, if you submit it to them and they choose not to, then I think you have your answer and you get the hell out of there. But
It's a situation, I mean, I had part of this conversation with you guys last week in terms of you saying that we report to corporate communications too, and trying to understand, like, they came to me and they selected Higher Logic before I even got here. So now I have to develop a plan for rolling it out, but we don't get any support for it. But it's not a great decision for going forward, especially for C-level people. Like, so but it's a fine line between how much I can push back and how I just have to move forward and say, okay, this is what we can do. Like, I don't know how we're gonna do it, but this is what we can do, but I think that's the thing. But I don't even feel like I can send a link out here for people. I mean, my immediate team, I can send the link out to vote for me, but I don't feel like my boss and his boss would be supportive. But I mean, it's bizarre, so
oh man.
sad.
It's
Yeah.
difficult, yeah, when your boss isn't backing you up. Because I was at an organization, it was like 6.5 years. I got manager, and then getting to senior manager was super painful. It took forever. And finally, my boss is like, I was promised, I was told that I would get my team. And it's 6.5 years. I still have 0 team. It's still Tiffany doing everything and pushing and running around and helping everybody and sending swag and packaging and all of it. I did everything, employee advocacy, customer advocacy, everything. And then finally I got promoted to senior manager, and then I was told, obviously there's, room because there's nobody above me, and I would have my own department, but none of that happened. So I'm at a new organization as a director, and I'm grateful because my boss sees the value in what I do and backs me up. And obviously I was hired pretty quickly after during the interview before I even finished interview number 2, HR was on it and they made me an offer real quick in 2 hours. So I'm fortunate. It was a very good scenario for me and it worked out. But yeah, it's hard to work to get buy-in and help when the person doesn't back you up. Like, your boss has got to be your main champion. And if they're not on board for whatever reason, financially, like supporting you with budget and everything else, it is very tough. Hopefully, like with what Leslie say, like have like a plan on what you think you can do and how you can help the company get like more brand awareness, or even with cost savings, like how if you do A, B, and C, you can help sell. And if you're helping to sell 3 more deals, which is totals 100 grand or 150 or whatever, then that provides value, right? If you can try to put some numbers or some type of KPI or metric to it, might help your cause. I know it's hard, but reach out. I mean, I'm here, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can meet with you. I'm happy to help after. I'm super busy as well, but I understand the pain that we all go through as advocacy people or customer marketing people. We do a lot of work. A lot of us are teams of 1, 2 at most, if we're lucky. I was a team of 2. Now I'm down to 1 again. But yeah, it really
you bring up a good point. Sorry, you bring up a good point about how you're doing so much in several different areas. And that's exactly why this document or resource is so robust, and it goes into 8 pillars of like how you contribute, not just in customer marketing and how you work, but it's also like how you contribute to culture. Or as Tiffany was saying, if you have a brand online and you bring in more deals and all that stuff. And I swear, when I was doing this document, there were things that my boss was bringing up that I didn't even remember that I did because I didn't have anywhere to document. So as your skills, your competencies, your abilities improve, documenting that in those specific areas is just really going to aid in a very comprehensive performance review. And then once you have those numbers to back it up, take my course, then you can, then the power of like having everything so clearly mapped out and you having the numbers to back you up is like a powerful, I would think would be the seal the deal.
Thanks. Yeah.
And I'll just chime in real quick. Just because outsiders and other people have a myopic view of what we do, don't let that rub off on us, right? Just because like we have to show like these old metrics and whatever to make it look good in front of executives, I think we got to focus on the value of what we provide to customers and do for the company, right? So that's kind of what I'm going to do this year. And I'm not going to wait around to become a director. I'm on the tail of my 20s, but I sure as hell want to do that in 2 years. So I'm going to go where I'm treated best, right? I think we've all heard that in some form or fashion somewhere, whether I can manipulate my role in the company to what it needs to be, or I go somewhere else. But you know, life's too short, and we live in an age where we have so many opportunities at our fingertips. So I think we should just go where we're treated best. And I'm going to double down on video storytelling this year because I think that's going to do the most for the company and the customers. It's hard to kind of like show that to executives with impact of revenue and all that kind of stuff, but I just feel very strongly about that. And I've seen a lot of people be successful from that angle. And I'm just going to double down that this year. And if anyone wants to talk about that, you know, ping me.
Yeah, you also, that's a good point too about showcasing the value you bring to your customers, but not in a monetary sense or, you know, showing all these numbers. So I just did a customer conference where it was, you know, my advocate program conference in Las Vegas, and the whole executive team was there. And so that's all they needed to see like the success of that event, and all the chatter about how like great the community is and all that stuff, for them to see the value. So if this year you're interested in, you know, getting your customers together with the executives, you know, bring some prospects in, make it a big love fest, then your executive team will see the value that you bring, because you're bringing all these customers together and you're, you know, elevating how they're using your platform. And it's just a nice little cherry on top, I guess you would say.
And advocacy, I think, touches like almost every part of the business, whether you're bringing in a reference, a customer quote that's on the website, content, you are getting blog content from your customers, right? Having the community, which I manage also a community, direct messaging people at night, whatever it is, any random questions that customers have, customer love, sending swag, thank you notes, all that. We touch a big part of the business that people don't realize, right? So if you stop and kind of just put down like reviews, I drive reviews, and we have like, I don't know, 75 different badges from G2 and Trust Radius and all this stuff. And if it wasn't for my efforts, there would be no reviews. We're not a leader, all this stuff, right? Because I'm driving most of that, right? So we touch so many pieces of the business, or just kind of say, CS, when they need someone to talk to about XYZ, or you can get feedback from the community about whatever it is that people want to ask about, whether it's product related, tips and tricks, things of that nature. So kind of like, I know it's hard, but try to have like a document, a notes document that you just jot down bullets of whatever it is that you're working on, and then try to make sense of it. Maybe once a month, kind of go through it and kind of think about how you provide value in those different areas, or how the stickiness is within the organization, right? Because there's a lot of stickiness with what we do if we stop and actually bring it to people's attention, because they don't know. That sales rep maybe doesn't realize that advocacy is actually driving the reviews. This person is doing this. We're inviting people into the community, right? We're talking to them. We're keeping them happy. Because sometimes I get people on LinkedIn, they're like, I went to your support and they're not responding. I'm like, okay. And I flag someone on the team like, hey, who can help this guy? He's a customer. Let's talk to him. Let's help him. So we touch lots of different parts, and it's hard to, unless you bring it up to people and make them aware of it, they're not aware of it. So like Leslie said, jot down notes, look at her plan, put something together, you know, as you start working on things so you don't forget. Just have like a notepad up.
Yeah.
A Word
So yeah, you guys, I see that the landing page isn't working, and you guys are my test, because I literally that's the first time I ever put this link out into the world. So it's not working, but I'm, you know, it'll be in my newsletter tomorrow. I'll get it all figured out. So if you're not a part of the newsletter, subscribe, and then you'll get the link tomorrow. Or if by then
It is actually sending everything, Leslie. It's just that it just gives you a page not found when you click through. So, but it
but
is
then it
actually
sends it to
generating
your
the
email?
email from Demand Gen and with the link to the asset. So
Got
it kind of is working. It's just giving you that page no results found thing in the middle.
Well,
I
still
couldn't know that. I had to send it to a friend because I don't have a work email. So I
Yeah,
didn't know
sorry,
if I
that's-
got it or not. That's okay.
That's Influitive for you.
Yep.
Sorry.
Has anybody ever used Loom before? To switch the subject for a second. Loom is like
I
vocal
used it a
video.
lot.
You have? Are you
Mhm.
happy with that?
No, but
I
it
use
works
it.
for its intended purpose. You know what? I come from education and from customer education. I've got way better tools than that in my toolkit. So knowing that it's, you know, but for the, what it's designed to do, it works well. You know, if I had to work with just creating, you know, quick sales demos and the little intros that everybody does now as part of like, look, I just met you and I think this is great and here's what we can do for you, and those kinds of videos, it works really well. It's really simple to use, and it doesn't take a whole bunch of skills to build in it, as long as you don't need to get too complex.
Mhm.
So if that's your goal, it works really
Yeah.
good for the goal that it's designed to be for.
I love
I think
using
on the
it
free
for-
plan, you get 5 or 25 free videos or something at 5 minutes each. But it works really well, like to just send a quick video.
Mhm.
And it's been around for a while, I think, like a few years.
Mhm.
Also, I was saying the Influitive Live site still has your stuff listed, Leslie. So people can use that too to get that.
Yeah, it's just looking like it's the thank you page that they just didn't get it together good enough to say like, thank you, it's going to be
Yeah.
sent shortly.
I think they're having a bit of a week over there.
Yeah.
I got new headphones. Just missed the Apple Watch, which they would have like sent it to me because of my points, but I didn't want the Apple Watch. I wanted the new headphones. So hopefully I'll be able to have those next week and tune my kids out while we're all
Nice.
visiting. I mean, talking and sharing very important career information.
Are they the new Apple ones?
No, they're like the Sony ones over the ears. I don't like things in my ears.
Mhm.
I'm weird. I don't like them because they like collect wax and stuff, and then it gets me all grossed out. Fun times learning about Mary. So, what did we think of the event? What did we like, didn't like? Anybody want to share any feedback or thoughts? Or not really because they could see it later.
Are we talking about Influitive or what are we talking about?
I'm talking about Influitive. Yes, I am. But or whatever else. I'm happy to talk about anything, as you probably all know. And anybody who came in late, if you don't see, there's a new link to all the events I have scheduled through the beginning of May. So different topics of conversation. And I did update cmaweekly.com this week to a new color because the site I was on, they messed up their tool and it just looked really bad. So I had to move to a different site. And it's got the links all at the top, and I went through and fixed some of the things like new resources and stuff like that, and just added yours, Leslie, and a few others this week. So it's up there if anybody needs anything from whatever I have to share.
Cool. Sorry, can we just go back to the Loom thing really quick? So
Sure.
my customer love campaign, it's called Integration Love Story. So we're gonna get like all of our integrations, everyone who, I can't talk. We're going to ask our customers to do a video on what integration they use and like the use case and their success stuff with it. And so I'm going to make the ask, and they're going to shoot their own kind of like 2-minute demo of like how they use the integration with Sendoso. And then we're going to like put it on social and put it out there in the world. I'm going to pass it back to the education and university team. But if I'm very kind of micromanagey sometimes. And so I want to tell them like how exactly to film the video. Yeah. And like the best quality. So, but I need obviously it to be for free. So like, is it too much to be like, use Loom, sign up for free? Or is there a different thing I should be using, like video vocal, or what should I do?
Loom would work for that really nice because it,
Oh.
again, the biggest benefit that I see in it is that it allows you not only to do this kind of shot, right? The headshot stuff, but it also allows you to do screen recording.
Right.
So yeah, so that's, and it does them seamlessly, right? You can go back and forth pretty easily between it and do a little square of yourself, and all of those tools are pretty easy to use, which is why I like it. I mean, because I don't have to train anybody really how to use it.
Yeah. Is it too much, or like to tell them to download or like to get Loom for free and go through all those steps? Or should I just be like, create a Zoom? You can record yourself on Zoom, but it's just like not good quality. And I don't know.
I
you
would
guys-
say send them the Loom link. You just
Okay.
include the link and say, if you don't have access to it already, click here, get it. And it,
Should I say
for
like,
the, and just don't hesitate to say what you said, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to kind of up the quality on this a little bit, and right.
and
So if you're informing them and being transparent in the reasoning behind it, most people will do it, if they don't already have access.
and Vidyard, same thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
Harder to use, to be honest.
Got it.
Yeah, I've never used Vidyard. That's what Influitive used for Influitive Live, right? Like that's what their event video is from.
No, that's Riverside. I
No,
don't-
they did use
Oh.
it yesterday, I believe. They use Riverside, but I believe Ari was talking about it. Vidyard, and I'm not sure that it was
Yeah.
successful for them or not. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I
No.
think it's something like the way they did the recordings or something.
I literally could not get in. Anybody else? I kept
You
trying
couldn't?
to get in. Yeah, I kept like going to a session and it's like, watch now. And then it would be like, sorry, try again later. And I'm like, okay.
I did have a few other people reach out to me to tell me that they couldn't figure out how to get into sessions, but I thought maybe they just didn't know where to click. So maybe that makes more sense because these are people that work in SaaS. So if you don't know where to click to go watch a video. I, of course, loved the Laura Ramos one. I think I should just start a fan club because I'm such a dork about any video she puts out. I'm like, ooh, where is it? I'm gonna go see. I'm not as interested in the loyalty focus yet for customers. And it's not because I don't care, but more like just starting the programs for some of the companies I'm working with. So I'm not too loyalty yet. Did anybody else pick up on that theme of loyalty, and what do you think about it?
I think it's already baked into what I'm doing with advocacy, with, creating happy customers. That's just customer marketing.
Yeah.
What did you
I guess the focus, the way they were like breaking it down, and I'm like, yeah, you have those things, but that's not my focus yet. So I guess my focus is more on the metric side, where I feel like loyalty is kind of ambiguous as far as being able to track it.
Yeah, I know that's a big one for us in terms of nurturing the relationship, just because we don't have loyal customers, like overall, not even advocates, but just like loyal customers. But I agree with you, like, how we track that. And I think it's also part of not just like our role in advocacy, it's also part of our overall engagement model for sales and customer success that should be looked at. So there's been a lot of discussions around that. By the way, Mary, did you see Laura was going to present an upcoming Forrester predictions?
Yes.
I'm sure she'll
Oh, yeah.
cover some of the same things, but I just signed up for that one. I agree.
Yeah, she did a call back in early December or November, and it was actually different content. I thought it would be the same, but it talked about the different types of content that people like to use, and how they like the personalization and things like that. So
Mhm.
bye, Leslie. See you next week.
Bye. See ya. Thanks.
Honestly.
Hi.
So it was a good call. That's the one I took way too many notes on and shared with everyone in the community. And nobody really said anything because I think it was just too long because it was like 2,500 words for an hour-long video where it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Haven't gone back through to read it all yet.
It's a bit much. Yeah.
I have
And I
a,
did take some, I took some
bi-
screenshots though yesterday, or yeah, yesterday. Just of like the loyalty stuff she was talking about because it was like engagement, referrals, references, and something else. It was good information. But that part specifically, I was like, I don't know how I would go about focusing on that.
I was just going to ask, how do you define loyalty, customer loyalty?
Yeah,
Like, what is it?
I'm looking for
I know
the.
I was actually just watching it before I jumped on the call. So she was talking about retention and also the opportunity to expand the account.
How would, did she mention the metric parts of that? Like how that would look? Or am I just being silly thinking about it like that?
You
Yeah,
mean
she-
in terms of being able to track retention and how
Yeah, like
much?
if I'm going to focus on loyalty, okay, so she calls loyalty retention, expansion, recommendation, and endorsement.
Mhm.
How would I measure those things? Like recommendation, I'd have, if it doesn't go through my system, which, you know, most things are word of mouth, and endorsement, I mean, there's certain part of as advocacy we could cover on that. So I was just wondering what that would look like as far as tracking would go. Am I overthinking this? Because I tend to do that. That's what my
No,
husband says.
I think that's valid because I mean, really, at the end of the day, you're talking about like revenue attribution. And so really the only way that I'm aware of that companies are able to kind of get that direct attribution to say, you know, how does this one person actually impact revenue at our company is through the CRM and through tying the activities into the opportunity. And then when that opportunity closes, you can attribute any customer activity that took place throughout the course of that opportunity, whether that was an opportunity that started from a referral or a reference call took place or a piece of customer content was shared with the prospect during the course of that opportunity. If those are tied in as events that occur during that opportunity, then when it closes, you're able to attribute it back to that revenue. And because expansion is also tracked in opportunities, like in the CRM, it's tracked in that same object. You can also show, you know, what the amount of expansion revenue is. And if you don't have like a tool, Crystal Anderson did a beating the drum episode with Margot Leon about specifically how she kind of cobbled together a solution to do that without a platform, because, you know, obviously there are platforms like Slap5 that do that, but you know, when we don't have a platform, there is a manual workaround. It's just requires a lot more technical lift from some of the internal teams like sales ops in order to like kind of operationalize some of those pieces. But yeah, the episode that she did on beating the drum was about how she did it without a platform. So highly recommend that if you're in a toolless state.
That often comes up. I actually had a call. So I am talking to someone that is looking for trying to like find a solution that's maybe on the cheaper end. So something a little bit more than spreadsheets, but nowhere near what a lot of, not a lot of, but like the 5 main tools use.
Enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah. Not enterprise. There you go. Thank you, Christine, as I stumble over my.
I just talked to him this morning, Mary.
Oh, okay. Well, fun for you. I don't know who it was, but and so if anybody is interested in talking to someone about that and just listening to what their ideas are and kind of sharing what you're working on, it's not like a sales call or anything. It's just like, this is what I'm working on or what I'm thinking about if you're interested. And I told him I'd ask just because I do that. But I did have a call with another company this week, Dido like CO or AI or something, that seems to automate some of the back end of so they go for sales leaders that need like references, and they automate finding the customers and setting up the calls, and then kind of grading how well the reference did and how well your other assets do. When I talked to them, they said that they strongly do not see themselves as a competitor to the enterprise tools that we're using, Slap 5, Influitive, and things like that. But after they explained it all to me and they asked me again, do you still think we're a competitor? I was like, yeah, you are. But if they're focused on sales, that's a whole other thing. But I thought it was interesting because there's always new tools hitting the market and, something to look out for. But at the same time, the expertise that you can find at the enterprise tools is really nice too. So, new tools. Anyone else have new tools, resources, anything? I'm a collector.
Mary, is that like a lower dollar amount one? Is that what you were saying? The new one?
No, there's two. So there's the lower amount one that's just like tossing around ideas, and then Dido.ai, I think it's called. It's this, yeah, Dido.ai. They strongly do not see themselves as a competitor. He explained customer marketing to me for about 10 minutes and telling me what it was, because even though I've been in customer marketing for a little while, I'm a woman, so I don't know a lot. Yeah.
That doesn't bode well. Sorry.
No, it doesn't. I was just like, oh, okay. And he's like, so he just assumed, like, he told me what the tool did, and then he's like, so you still think it's a competitor? Yes, it's still automating or trying to reach the same goal that we're trying to reach. But I'm fine with you thinking you're not a competitor, and I'll pass. Like, I don't have anybody that I would recommend it to. Like, the whole point, I think, of having a customer marketer and advocacy person, is that you get to build those relationships to a point. And if you're going to automate everything, I don't find that as valuable. Because
like a self-service tool for the sales.
Yeah.
And I think it's really
Got it.
about what level of how you're trying to scale, right? If you're an organization that is voluminous in your customer base, right, where it's a lot of little transactions that people do,
that or
and
huge,
you
like
don't have a
Salesforce.
CSM, why would we not automate, right? Why would we not choose to automate to give the same experience that we would do in a larger organization with fewer touch points, even though customer marketing is that one-to-many piece of it, right? It allows us to build those relationships in ways that we couldn't do if we were automating. But again, if I'm one CSM and I have 150 accounts that I'm responsible for, I'm not doing a light touch thing anyway, right? I'm probably automating a lot of those transactions, and this would help in that kind of a circumstance, right? So it's,
Yeah.
again, I think it's where you are, right? What do you need to do where you are?
Yeah,
Right.
almost like for B2C, or like if end users
Right.
can
If you've
Yeah,
got a
B2C
high volume
like
on that
purchase
end,
things. Yeah, that makes sense.
B2C is not their target audience either. So my thought was something like Salesforce, because Salesforce has entire customer marketing teams for each one of their products. Like down to different sets of features. So I'm like, in that case, it could be useful to tell exactly what case study impacted a sale. But if you're talking about a small company that has like 15 advocates, to me, that's useless. Like, you're not going to get enough data.
It's a
How many
waste.
times can you
It's a
ask
waste.
one person to be a reference before they're not going to be a reference anymore? So I feel like they have a lot to work on, and
Sounds like they
right
didn't do
now they're
any
not
research.
charging. They're just looking for strategic partners. And after another 10 minutes of talking, going back and forth, they finally told me that they want to sell in the tens of thousands per year. So I'm like, well, I don't see it as a good fit. But I didn't say it like that, because at that point I was just like, yeah, they just want me to shut up and listen. And I can do that sometimes, just trying to be nice. Either way, it's out there. Alexi had suggested it. I wanted to go check it out before base.
Suggestion is a strong word.
Well,
I had
yes,
asked a question
yes,
about it.
yes, you did.
And actually, Andrew from Orca was the one who asked me about it.
Oh,
Yeah, because he hadn't heard of it before and saw it pop up. And so I was curious to see if anyone was using it, because there are a lot of people who are keen to jump on that automation train. But my favorite is the mansplaining to a female-dominated industry. You're going to go real far.
yeah. I was like,
Nothing
I
like
think I just-
relationship building, hey?
Yeah. I just had a stink
But
bug
Mary, did you
fall
say
from
that
my
there?
window.
Oh, sorry.
What's that?
Did you also say that there is like a really cheap tool? Because I would love to be able to, like, I know so many people who's have had budgets totally slashed.
No.
Oh,
This
okay,
person
okay.
is working on an idea for maybe building a cheaper tool, like
Oh,
$50 a month type of thing. And so that's what he was asking, like, do you know anybody I could get some feedback from that, works with spreadsheets right now? The most I've really seen that people use to automate is Asana. We had a call probably a couple months ago where somebody was talking about using Monday, but basically those project management tools that you can pull different people into, you can use a form to submit things, but still leaves a lot on the table for what you need to function as a one-person team, two-person team. But if I hear of something, yeah, I'll let you know too.
The one that John was doing is very promising. I don't think it would be a fit for me, but it's the whole idea of the contact level tracking is
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, if anybody's interested in talking to him, do.
Yeah,
Just-
that's who she's talking about, who I was just talking about, that's looking at making a new tool. No, Kara, I'm talking about John. I think I connected you with him too, because you said you would talk to him.
Yeah, I met him like an hour or so ago. Yeah, it was an
Yeah,
interesting. I was just like so honest. I was like, I have zero budget or anything. So
Yeah, I have clients where I'm like, sometimes I just buy my own tools because it's easier and I'd rather just do it and get it done with, than spend hours going back and forth and trying to do something manually. But it's totally my decision and I have gotten in trouble for it.
yeah, it reminded me a lot of the base setup I had at Gainsight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't have the portal aspect of base.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah. So, that reminds me, I did get added to the CMA Top 100 thing, voting. So, I wasn't initially on the list. They said because they couldn't find me on LinkedIn. But I'm there now. So, if anybody wants to vote, yay. All right. What else do we have to talk about this week?
Oh, Mary, on the topic of tools, I'm just curious, has anyone ever used Vouch or Shoutout? Shoutout was at the conference yesterday as an exhibitor.
I have not.
I think Shout Out was at the Captivate Collective speed dating event last year, as I recall. And they were very interesting. I don't have any experience with them, sorry, Rob, but I remember them putting out an interesting presentation. I don't know if you can still access those through the Captivate website, but
I think they're similar to Vocal Video and Loom.
That's my recollection as well.
Oh, maybe like Laudable. Is Laudable kind of like that too?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. There's lots of different tools popping up now. I watch Beta List and they always have different tools for collecting testimonials or something else. But I think in a way we're almost moving away from like a lot of tools where you get all these features and all of that, but you have like no support. And that's why enterprises are like the bigger companies like Slap5 and Influitive and stuff work for enterprise companies because they have some of that expertise that they can share that is hard to collect when you're also running around like a chicken with its head cut off as a customer marketer. But I could be wrong. We'll see. Okay, so what else we got? Any more questions, topics, ideas?
I was just gonna note on that topic of like there being all these new vendors, like this is a super common pattern in any market. Like when there's a new form of technology, things start with like very few, and then there become a whole bunch of small shops that pop up, and then eventually they'll start getting cannibalized by the larger orgs, and then things like like in telecom, the government had to like break up AT&T at one point because they had an entire monopoly on like all of telecom back in the 90s. And so it's like this constant cycle of like expanding and like getting more, and then consolidation through mergers and acquisitions. So it's very normal for like this stage of like growth that this space is in right now to see like a lot of new things popping up. So that'll be a trend that sticks around probably for a while, especially with the advent of AI and people wanting to get creative. But it's kind of funny to me that this Dito company is going to try to sell to sales, you said?
Yeah, that's what, and John, who I was just talking about, that's trying to build a cheaper tool, a less expensive tool. Fennessy, I think his last name is. He comes from sales too. So apparently there are like VPs of sales and heads of sales that come across this problem because their company either hasn't started doing customer marketing or doesn't have somebody to oversee reference programs. So yeah, they were talking about how they mostly work with the sales teams, which I thought was interesting because that's hard, like to bring it all together. And I think someone on one of the calls in Influitive Live, which it was pointed out to me that most of it was recorded. So how could it be live? It's just what it is. But someone was talking about how they realized that even as their reference program was growing and doing really well, they still had a majority of the references in their company like on the black market underneath, where sales was just doing their own thing and having to incorporate that and work with them to bring it all together, which is another common theme in customer marketing.
Yeah, that was my first thought, is like, it'll be very interesting if some sales teams start adopting those tools and then later they mature as a company and they get a customer marketer and then they're going to have to like try to break that habit, and it's going to be real difficult. But at the same time, like it's already happening, like in back pocket references. So I guess maybe at least it would be a little more consolidated than just like the over the cubicle style that comes before that. So I don't know, but yeah, that'll be an interesting future challenge, is like a migration from that type of process to when they have somebody who's actually realizing that like the amount of touches that go out to the customer matter.
Yeah, I've heard that come up a lot too, about the amount of touches going out to customers, and I have not. I think maybe Irwin came up with some kind of solution at his company, where they had like a committee overseeing the communications going out to the customer. It feels like a lot to me to do that, because I think it would take a lot of people working together. But on the other hand, you're going to have that issue where there's a lot of emails going out to the customer if you don't figure out how to bring that together. I've always thought of it like HubSpot, because if you sign up for the HubSpot marketing blog, and then you have the HubSpot CRM, and then you have HubSpot sales blog, and all of those different things, like you have to be able to let people opt out from the things they want to opt out of. But yeah, I don't have a solution for that at all. So I put the link in chat. So if anybody wants to sign up for calls, I'm going to do Tuesdays at 2, Thursdays at 12, Fridays our regular weekly call where we just talk about anything. And the links are there so that you can sign up to whatever calls you want. And if you want to host a call or be on a specific call for like communities or cabs or awards and events and things like that, just let me know, because I'm happy to let anybody else jump in, but I'll probably be on most of the calls anyway. So yeah, and everybody go vote for each other, and thanks for coming, and have a good week.
You too.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mary.
Bye.
Guys.
I have a question for you if you have like
Sure.
another minute. I was just wondering like if well, whatever, I don't care if they're here, but I was just wondering, are you still just kind of doing all of this like on your own dime? Okay. Have you
Yeah.
thought about like ways to monetize? Do you want to talk about that?
I have, I have and haven't. I have not come up with any solutions to monetize. I've thought about doing something, but on the other hand, the networking alone has gotten me a few jobs and several leads. So that's
Oh, like
been
freelance
kind of,
stuff or
yeah, like contracting, freelance stuff. So in that way, I kind of earn from it. But
because
yeah,
I
I'm
feel like
happy to
you
hear
could
anybody
even
else.
just start with like just having a donation option. Like I honestly feel like I would donate to you, like I
Aw.
think that we get value out of this. And so like if you don't want it to become, something like gated where people have to subscribe and pay to get access, which it feels like that's kind of your preference is not to do that, then I would recommend like just like having the ability for people to donate. And that's like one thought, but I'll bring it up to Jeff too and see if he has any other ideas. I mean, the traditional way, of course, is just to like start gating certain,
Yeah.
either outputs or, certain elements of the like community itself. But I would imagine people would want to just like donate to you, because I think we're all
Thank
very
you.
appreciative of like just the amount of, time and effort and energy that you put into this, and it's helped so many people. So I would recommend
Thank
starting
you.
there.
I have
Yeah.
thought about doing like a $10 a month, either like maybe like Patreon or something, where people can, if they are in the position to, only because I don't want to ever make people feel like, oh, you can't do this because, you're out of work. I hate that sort of thing
Right,
where
right.
you're like, I'm out of work, and people are like, okay, well, pay me to fix your resume, but I'm out of work.
Right.
That doesn't help me right now. Um, and I have thought about doing some kind of gated content, like saving the Slack conversations and things like that. But I
Like
also
maybe like
don't,
access to recordings or something could be
yeah,
good.
access to
It's
recordings
like
and things
you
like
can
that.
always join the live calls, but if you want to get access to recordings, like
Yeah,
there would be like a one-time like $5 fee or something like that. I'm just trying to think of like ways that would be, like you said, accessible and not like
right.
you know, difficult for people who are out of work, but that would still like help support you, because I feel like I think I speak for most of the people who join these calls that we want to like see you gain from this, because you're helping others gain a lot too.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have had a couple people ask, and offer like to talk about monetization, but I haven't actually followed up on it because I'm like, I don't really know what I want to do.
Yeah.
But it's really beneficial to me to just talk about things with people and get on these calls. And like, I have a few clients right now that I'm okay. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
hurting for money, which was nice because for like 4 months I was trying to get a full-time job
Right.
and it just didn't happen. But as soon as I opened up to contracting, I had a couple accounts right away.
Okay. Good.
So
I'm glad.
it'd be nice to move it from contracting into more like consulting at some point.
Mhm.
So I would like to see it move in that way, but I really do enjoy working with everybody and like getting to know people. And I kind of felt like working at base, I just wanted to pay back because it was so bad. And I just feel bad. Like I lied to the community, not realizing it because
You're like making reparations.
yes. And I'm just,
Aw. You don't need to be so hard on yourself though. It was not
yeah,
that wasn't
I
you.
just,
That was like the culture, you
yeah.
recognize that like it was their toxicity that created that, not like that was something that came out of you.
Yeah, I know. And I
You
guess,
give yourself grace.
yeah. And I think it gave me something to do while I was out of work too, to focus on other than just finding work. So,
Yeah,
because
well, I
that
mean,
can be hard. And
you've certainly
now,
like
yeah,
skyrocketed your name into everybody's minds in the space. So, I mean, it's very smart strategy.
yeah, and when I first started, I was just like, I just want to work with one of the vendors, like somebody else other than base and do what I'm doing, but stay in this kind of place. And now I'm having more fun, I think, just contracting, um, thinking about different ways I can give back and help and maybe monetize at some point. I'm not in a super rush, but money's great, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know like I think Jeff already talked to you about this, like when you had a conversation with him like long ago, but you know, we would like love if you had ever had any interest in help in doing some of this with the customer X community. We would be all over it. We're all fans of yours, and there's there's so much like to be done that the core team of us just don't have the kind of discipline that you have in terms of like the cadence of
Yeah, but
always.
you guys do lots of other things. I like you talk to everybody. I mean, I have people that are like Actually, give me just a second here because I was seeing something yesterday. But they're just always like, oh yeah, Kaylee from Slap 5 and talking about how they've talked to you. And it's just like you're one of the people that really helps out in the space too. Yeah, actually, I had somebody make a list of companies that have, so
Oh
in the
yeah,
community,
the lists I shared. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, are you in that?
I don't know if I saw that one, but
Okay. So in the community, I've had several people ask if they could have a no vendors channel. And the first few weeks people were asking, I kind of ignored it, hoped it would go away because I love the vendors. Like you
yeah.
all are so smart, you know what you're doing. But of course, you're huge champions for your product too. And so I had more people ask this week, and I was like, fine, I'll do it. And so we go in and we're talking, and somebody's like, I'm just so sick of all these sales calls and emails. And Slap 5 was not on the list. They like made a list of companies that will not stop, and you guys were not on the list. So I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, we like had for the last almost year, we have not done any outbound. We've been purely like, I've just been focused on building the partnerships with like the agencies basically. So like Wings for You, Big Sky, Captivate, like all of those places. And then trying to like, be present in the communities and everything. But like, and the reality is like, I don't want to do outbound, but like now I'm being faced with this other reality, which is that like our product has grown like tenfold in the last, 18 months. Like it's completely different and the market doesn't really know, like all the
Mhm.
capabilities. And so, and we're trying to just, trying to drink our own champagne and just start to gather like customer stories to share like these things in that format as opposed to it just being because like I feel like it undermines my like knowledge when if I have to send like a salesy email. Like I just don't like to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like it is it like tanks my credibility, in a way, even though like, as you know, it's not like I shove things down people's throats. Like I'm pretty consultative. That's why I was asking about like if there is this cheaper tool, because I'm like, I know people who need something super cheap. So um,
Yeah, I
but
I've had that
anyway,
too.
it's like I'm that it's a weird balance for me because I'm not in sales I don't do sales because I like it. I'm doing this because I was asked by Jeff and Tim because originally I was supposed to be doing
Oh.
customer interviews and research for Slap 5.